like to call the July 17, 2017, 7 p.m. special meeting of the Discovery Charter School Board of Directors to order. Note that school council is participating via phone. Board members, would you please identify yourselves for school council who is participating via phone?
So I'm Tammy Sharfuddin, I'm the vice chair. I can't
I
hear
can't
it.
hear. What was your name?
Ahmed Ed.
Oh,
Ahmed
we couldn't hear you.
After Ahmed, I couldn't hear anybody. So maybe not have to pass the phone.
Hey, Norma Mejia, parents represent.
See if again, she can't hear.
Oh, you can hear me?
She's the phone.
Oh, Norma Mejia.
Okay, I heard your name.
Samuel Master, Board Chair.
Good evening, everybody. I'll be quiet unless you need my help, I'm here.
Mary Pat German, board member, teacher.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that at all. Okay, you're just gonna have to let me know if somebody has a question.
We have before us the agenda for the special meeting. I would like a motion to accept the agenda as presented. Do I hear such a motion?
I make a motion to accept the agenda.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Ahmed Adam? Mary Pat German?
Aye.
Samuel Masters, aye. Norma Mejia?
Aye.
Tamara Sharafadine?
Aye.
The first item on the agenda is to review, modify as necessary, and approve the minutes from the June 17th, 2017 board meeting. Please look at the attached minutes.
I have an amendment on page 1, number 8. Need to add the affirmation vote next to my name. It says approved unanimously, but we'll add the aye. And on number 13, should read, Shannon requested that only teacher contracts to allow buyback. Specify that it's only teachers.
All right. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes as amended? Unless there are any other proposed amendments to the minutes? Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes as amended? Do I hear a second? Voting. Ahmed Adam? Mary Pat German?
Aye.
Samuel Masters, aye. Norma Mejia?
Aye.
Tamara Sharafadine?
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. The second item of the agenda is to summarize the results of the evaluation conducted on June 17th, 2017. The salient portions of that are in the Q&A in response to community concerns, which is item 3. The other salient portion is that there was a motion made to renew the executive director agreement. The motion did not pass. The next item of business is to present Q&A in response to community concerns. This Q&A is in the board packet. I will read it out now. Discovery Charter School questions and answers to community concerns. Per the previous procedure the board undertook in the beginning of the school year, when there are multiple questions and concerns directed to the board at or after a board meeting. In order to provide a thoughtful, accurate, and thorough response, the board responds to the extent it is able at the next board meeting. The following questions were posed to board members since the last board meeting on June 17th, 2017. The answers follow. The question was, why is the board canceled and moved meetings throughout the year? The answer is a schedule of regular meetings is kept on file at the school's primary office. It was also posted on the school's website in the beginning of the school year and prior to each board meeting on the school's principal bulletin board located at the main office of the school. In addition, though not required, the school posts the agenda for each board meeting in advance of the meeting so that parents can know what will be on the agenda at the meeting. Of the 16 regular board meetings posted on the school's website, the board conducted 12 as scheduled. 2 board meetings were rescheduled and 2 board meetings had to be canceled. When the 2 meetings were rescheduled, the board posted the date, time, place, and purpose agenda on the principal bulletin board of the school and at the website more than 3 days in advance. The 2 board meetings that were rescheduled are the following. The board meeting rescheduled for December 22nd, 2016 was changed to December 19th, 2016 to ensure quorum. The board meeting scheduled for June 22nd, 2017 was changed to June 17th, 2017 to ensure quorum. The 2 board meetings that were canceled were the board meeting scheduled for August 24th, 2016 was canceled because the board could not get a quorum. The board meeting scheduled for March 23rd, 2017 was canceled because the board could not get a quorum. In order to conduct board business, the board must have a quorum, which is the majority of board members. The question is, why won't you have open board meetings? The answer is all board meetings have been and are open to the public. The question is, why was the meeting on June 17th moved to Saturday evening? The board meeting was scheduled June 17th in order to ensure a quorum necessary to conduct board business. A Saturday evening seemed to be a time where those parents who work and have busy schedules during the week would be able to attend. The next question is, why didn't you follow the law when you closed the board meeting on June 17th, 2017? The answer is the board followed the applicable law. Under Minnesota's open meeting law, which applies to charter school boards, the board must close a meeting to discuss the performance of an individual subject to its authority unless the individual requests that the meeting be open. The director did not request that the meeting be open. The board stated the specific grounds permitting the meeting to be closed and described the subject to be discussed in the agenda that was posted on the website more than 3 days in advance of the board meeting. The question is, why didn't you provide proper notice for the June 17th, 2017 meeting? The notice for June 17th meeting was posted on the website the weekend of June 10th, much earlier than the 3-day required meeting notice. The next section is concerns about board membership. For public school, the question is, for public schools, the board is elected. For discovery, who appoints the board chair and the board members, who holds them accountable? If it is NEO, how is the performance of the board evaluated? If it is not NEO, how is the board performance measured or accounted for in the performance framework? The answer is charter schools are public schools, but their governance structure and election process is different than that of traditional public schools. The Charter School Law, CSL, is contained in Minnesota Statutes Chapter 124E. It explains how charter schools form and how they are overseen and evaluated. Section 124E07, Board of Directors of that law. Subdivision 1 says the initial board of directors, before entering into a contract or other agreement for professional or other services, goods, or facilities, the operator is authorized to organize and operate a school, must establish a board of directors composed of at least 5 members who are not related parties. The initial board continues to serve until a timely election for members of the ongoing charter school board of directors is held according to the school's articles and bylaws under subdivision 4. Subdivision 2, the ongoing board of directors. The ongoing board must be elected before the school completes its 3rd year of operation. Board elections must be held during the school year, may not be conducted on days when the school is closed. Subdivision 3 is membership criteria. The ongoing charter school board of directors shall have at least 5 non-related members and include at least one licensed teacher who is employed as a teacher at the school or provides instruction under contract between the charter school and a cooperative. 2, at least one parent or legal guardian of a student enrolled in the charter school who is not an employee of the charter school. And 3, at least one interested community member who resides in Minnesota, is not employed by the charter school, and does not have a child enrolled in the school. The board structure may include a majority of teachers under this paragraph, or parents or community members, or it may have no clear majority. The chief financial officer and the chief administrator may only serve as ex officio, non-voting board members. No charter school employees shall serve on the board other than teachers under Clause 1. Contractors providing facilities, goods, or services to a charter school shall not serve on the board of directors of the charter school. The authorizer monitors and evaluates the fiscal, operational, and academic performance of the schools it authorizes, but does not have the authority to be involved in evaluating or hiring the school leader. Discovery Charter School was founded by Margaret Glash because she felt that there were students in the community who were not being served well based on assessment results from the area, and that Minnesota and the community would be served well by having a STEM program option. She assembled a board, including experts in the STEM field, and the board applied the NEO to be the authorizer of the school. The next question is, why won't you have the full board elections that were supposed to be done in February, March, per the meeting minutes for those months? The answer is the board must follow the charter school law and board policy and statute regarding elections. The CSL applicable to new schools provides that school board elections must take place by the end of the third year of operation. Discovery just completed the first year of operation. The board continues to review the most appropriate time to hold elections and to ensure it is in line with policy and statute. The question is, why does Mr. Sharafidin continue to serve on the board when he is ineligible to be a board member since he missed meetings in July, August, and September of 2016? The answer is the meetings missed were June, July, and September. There was no board meeting in August 2016. According to the September 2016 minutes, the board voted at the third missed meeting to override the 3 missed meetings rule, override the resignation due to failure to attend. The question, not one of the board members have a kid in that school or live near the school. The answer is that Norma Mejia is a parent of a student in the school, and she was appointed to the parent seat on the board. The next question is, the board doesn't have a single student represented at Discovery. The answer is Norma Mejia is a parent of a student in the school, and she was appointed to the parent seat on the board. The question, it is unheard of to have only one parent on a charter school board. In fact, the CSL does not require more than one parent on a charter school board, per subdivision 3, the membership criteria, which was stated earlier. The question, I would like the authorizer to step in and force the resignation of the community board members and to help form a new board that is a more accurate representation of the schools and children's needs and concerns. The answer is the authorizer does not have the legal authority to select, appoint, or remove board members. The next section is concerns about interim director services. Why did you contract with an interim director without a formal board meeting announced at least 72 hours in advance? How can you name an interim executive director without a board meeting? The board is not contracting with an interim director. At the properly noticed board meeting on June 17, 2017, the board voted to go through designs for learning for interim director services. The board went through designs for learning for interim director services. Designs for learning is providing interim director services. The contract for design interim director services will be brought to the board for approval on July 17th. You've been deceptive and probably violated laws by hiring and announcing a new interim director without having a board meeting to vote on. The board is not contracting with an interim director. At the noticed board meeting on June 17, 2017, the board voted to go through designs for learning for interim director services. The board went through designs for learning for interim director services. Designs for learning is providing interim director services. The contract for interim director services will be brought to the board for approval on July 17th. Question, why did you hire an interim director with no STEM background? The board did not hire an interim director. The board worked with Designs for Learning to obtain the services of an interim director. That individual will assist the board in creating a search process to identify a permanent executive director with STEM background. Question, how can you have this new interim director speaking on behalf of our school and board without ever having an executed contract? At the June 17, 2017 meeting, the majority of the board voted to go through Designs for Learning to obtain services on an interim basis. The chair, pursuant to that vote and pursuant to applicable law and board bylaws, worked with Designs for Learning to identify an individual who could promptly assist the school in collecting community feedback and helping plan next steps in the search for the new director. The contract with Designs for Learning will be presented at the July 17, 2017 meeting for the board's review and approval. Question, I would like to see a copy of the executed contract immediately. I'm assuming you're having a meeting to backdate the contract, which means you're currently unable to produce one. Produce the executed contract immediately. The contract is in the board materials for the July 17th board meeting. Question, Sam chose the interim director with no input from the board. It's concerning that Sam seems to be making decisions all on his own, or with influence from Neo Designs for Learning and an attorney instead of the board voting on decisions. The school board is not one person. The board chair did not choose an interim director with no input from the board. At the properly noticed board meeting on June 17, 2017, the board voted to go through Designs for Learning for interim director services, and Designs for Learning is providing interim director services. The contract for interim director services will be brought to the board for approval on July 17th. Question, I'm hoping one of you is able to explain to me how an interim director was chosen without holding an open meeting to introduce the option and without notice that a meeting, open or closed, will be taking place. Did a meeting in fact occur? If so, why was no notice given? It is my understanding that the board's bylaws require a meeting notice to be posted 72 hours prior to holding a meeting. The board did not choose an interim director. At the properly noticed board meeting on June 17, 2017, the board voted to go through Designs for Learning for interim director services, and Designs for Learning is providing those interim director services. The contract for interim director services will be brought to the board for approval on July 17th. The question was, I'm also concerned with the appointment of Terry because of her experience and background. She is not qualified to lead a STEM school. She has no experience in STEM education. How can she prepare my child for a future STEM career if she does not have a background to support STEM? How will she be able to support our teachers if she does not know where to turn to for STEM resources? Terry is not right for her school. Designs for Learning is providing interim director services. The interim director services Designs for Learning are providing are identified in the contract with Designs for Learning. They include assistance in areas based on school need, including assistance with a search for a new director with a STEM background. The next question is, I'm also very concerned that an interim director was selected who works for Designs for Learning. Since DCS pays for Designs for Learning services, Terry has a direct conflict of interest. Designs for Learning is providing interim director services. Discovery Charter School did not hire an interim director. The interim director services that Designs for Learning are providing are identified in the contract with Designs for Learning. They include assistance in areas based on school need, including assistance with a search for a new director with a STEM background. There is no conflict of interest. Terry was provided as part of the interim director services. Question, we enrolled our kids into the program because it is a STEM-themed program. What STEM experience does the proposed replacement bring? Her bio reads to me like a bilingual specialist. Are you changing this theme? I noticed there are other language-based programs in neo-portfolio schools across the state. Are you switching to increase enrollment or profitability? Is there a reason why you think this is a better fit? I have no issue with you changing the theme, but I need to know if the direction is changing. We chose a STEM school. This part greatly concerns me because it hints at a profit motive as opposed to a vision. Designs for Learning is providing interim director services. Discovery Charter School is not changing the mission or vision that was established at its inception. Discovery Charter School's mission is to prepare students to become excellent questioners, scientific thinkers, and responsible citizens. Students will work respectively and collaboratively, applying scientific, technological, and mathematical concepts and principles to develop a strong work ethic and critical thinking skills needed to solve problems in the real world and to prepare them for future academic success. Discovery Charter School's vision is to embrace a multidisciplinary curriculum with an emphasis on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, provide a challenging learning environment that values creativity, diversity, and multiculturalism to prepare students for lifelong learning, collaboration, critical thinking, and problem solving. The mission and vision are part of the charter of the school and will not change. The next section is concerns about the decision to not offer an at-will agreement to the former director. Why won't you accept Dan Hurley's lawyer's request for remediation? As of July 16, 2017, neither the school nor the school's attorney have received a request for mediation from Mr. Hurley's attorney. To date, the school has not received a formal request for mediation. Question, why was Dan let go when the school was his vision, his startup school, and you are only 3 people from the community who clearly have absolutely no vested interest in the lives of our children at the school? First, information regarding employee performance is private data under the Minnesota Government Data Practices Act. Absent specific and very limited circumstances, which are not present in this case, charter school boards are prohibited from releasing or discussing performance data. Thus, the board cannot provide information about, quote-unquote, why Dan was let go. The voluntary founding board created the mission and vision for the school, secured the facility, developed the original policies, filed all necessary paperwork, obtained the grant funds, and ensured that the school met all readiness to open requirements for starting the school. Mr. Hurley was hired after the school obtained the grant funds to start the school. Mr. Hurley had an at-will agreement with the school that ended on June 30th, 2017. The board voted not to enter into another agreement, renew the agreement with him. Question, the lack of communication from this board is irresponsible and disrespectful. You unnecessarily and without cause chose to not renew Dan Hurley's contract. He built that school, not you. If his termination was necessary and with cause, tell us. So first, information regarding employee performance is private data under the Minnesota Government Data Practices Act. Absent specific and very limited circumstances, which are not present here, charter school boards are prohibited from releasing or discussing performance data. Thus, the board is prohibited by law from providing information about why Dan was let go, quote unquote. Second, as an at-will employee, the board does not need, quote unquote, cause to allow an employee's contract to expire. Third, Mr. Hurley was not terminated. His contract term expired on June 30th, 2017. The voluntary founding board created the mission and vision for the school, secured the facility, developed the original policies, filed all necessary paperwork, obtained the grant funds, and assured that the school met all the readiness to open requirements for starting a new school. Mr. Hurley was hired after the school obtained the grant funds to start the school. Question, you have lied to the students and staff by not being truthful about the reasons for Dan Hurley's termination. The board cannot legally release information about Mr. Hurley's performance evaluation. Moreover, Mr. Hurley was not terminated. He had an at-will agreement with the school that ended on June 30th, 2017. The board voted not to enter into another agreement, renew the agreement with him. The next question is, I was shocked to see such a vague announcement regarding Mr. Hurley's contract on Facebook, of all places, with no accompanying email of explanation. The answer is the board did not direct or give permission to anyone to post an announcement on Facebook about the decision by the board not to enter into another agreement with Mr. Hurley for the current school year. The next question is if his lack of renewal was performance related, do we have the test scores to support his lack of renewal? Where did our kids fall within the state? The board cannot release data that is not public about employees, such as information about an employee's job performance. NWEA maps test scores were satisfactory in 2 indicators of the school's performance framework and not satisfactory in 2 indicators of the school's performance framework. State MCA test results are currently embargoed by the state and cannot be released to the public until August. Question, it is also my belief that one or more of the community members may have been ineligible to vote because they had not been reinstated after their term ended or because of attendance issues. It is my belief that the vote was not valid and therefore Dan Hurley needs to be reinstated as director. The answer is the vote was valid. Although one board member did miss 3 meetings, according to the September 2016 minutes, the board voted at the third missed meeting to override the 3 missed meetings rule. Override the resignation due to failure to attend. This is in line with the bylaws. Concerns about the evaluation of the former director. Why was the review of Mr. Hurley's performance closed to the public? Under Minnesota's open meeting law, which applies to charter school boards, the board must close a meeting to discuss the performance of an individual subject to its authority, unless the individual requests that the meeting be open. The director did not request that the meeting at which he was to be evaluated remain open, so it had to be closed. The board stated the specific grounds permitting the meeting to be closed and described the subject to be discussed in the agenda that was posted on the website more than 3 days in advance of the board meeting. The next question is, why weren't the personnel committee meetings public? Committee meetings are not required to be held in public if there is no quorum of the board present and if the committee has not been delegated decision-making authority by the full board. Neither circumstance was present in this case. The next question is, I would like to know how any community members or parents were invited to be part of the non-existent personnel committee. Answer. The board has the legal responsibility for forming committees, including the personnel committee. Originally, the board appointed a 2-member personnel committee. During the school year, one of the 2 board members who comprised the committee resigned from the board, leaving only 1 board member as the personnel committee until the present time. This is allowable under the board policy on committees. See board policy 2.3. Question, why did the board violate section 2.7 of the bylaws by not having a personnel committee perform Dan Hurley's evaluation? Section 2.7 is not a bylaw of the board, it is a board policy. The board did not violate policy 2.7, a personnel committee was appointed and was in place. The committee evaluated the executive director and presented that evaluation to the full board during the closed session on June 17, 2017. Further, the charter school law, specifically Minnesota Statute 124E07 subdivision 6, specifies that board of directors shall decide and be responsible for policy matters related to the operation of the school, including budgeting, curriculum, programming, personnel, and operating procedures. Therefore, it is appropriate for the personnel committee, in accordance with policy 2.3, to participate as it did in the director's evaluation, which is a separate activity from decision-making about the offer of an employment agreement. It is the responsibility of the board to make the decision by entering into an employment agreement with the director. It's a question. The board has never established a personnel committee, and there has never been a meeting of the personnel committee. I'm asking the board to create a personnel committee allowing community members to be members. As indicated above, the board did establish a personnel committee. The committee must consist of 1 or more persons. Committee members shall be appointed by the affirmative vote of the majority of the board members present at a meeting. Originally, a 2-member personnel committee was created. However, during the school year, one of the 2 board members who comprised the committee resigned from the board, leaving only 1 board member as the personnel committee until the present time. This is allowable under the above policy on committees 2.3. The community did not express any interest in the personnel committee prior to June 17, 2017. The board is now aware of the community's interest and will take that interest into account going forward. Question, I'm wondering about the personnel committee that should have been formed in order to dismiss Mr. Hurley. When were the dates and times of those meetings? Why weren't parents allowed to attend or participate? Who was on that committee? Why wasn't it listed on the website along with other committees? The answer. As indicated above, the board did establish a personnel committee. As part of the evaluation of the director, the committee met with the director during the year and provided performance feedback during several one-on-one meetings. Also during the school year, the personnel committee shared the rubric that would be used in the evaluation of the director. Parents who are not on the committee may not legally participate in performance appraisals. Finally, it is the legal responsibility of the board to make the decision by entering into an employment agreement with the director. The next question, I would like to see the rubric criteria that was applied to the executive director evaluation this past year at DCS. Please note that I am not requesting the completed performance evaluation. I would like to see what the executive director was assessed on. I'm also curious as to which DCS community members, teachers, parents, support staff, administrative staff, authorizer staff, board members, community members, board consultants, etc., were sought for input in the evaluation process. Again, I'm not interested in specific names, but would like to know more about the process in the name of transparency. First, it is important to note that the evaluation process included results from the parent survey that the school conducted. Also, the board developed a performance rubric that corresponded directly to performance categories required in the charter school law. The statutory categories and the corresponding rubric components are as follows. Statutory category, instruction and assessment. Performance criteria in the board's rubric. Commitment to organization. Strives to meet high standards by continually improving the academic and business practices, processes, and results of the organization. Planning. Engages effective and efficient planning to further the mission of the organization. Planning is done in a strategic and thorough methodology focusing on goals of the organization. Initiative. Identifies problems, obstacles, or opportunities and takes actions to address issues. Demonstrates this initiative without being directed to do so. Statutory category. Human resource and personnel management. Performance criteria and the board's rubric. Personnel management. Directs personnel appropriately and effectively, monitors employee performance, and demonstrates ability to address performance concerns. Developing others, effectively and timely evaluates subordinates, encourages and initiates regular discussion of performance with subordinates, fosters the professional development of subordinates. Teamwork and cooperation, works cooperatively with others, keeps others informed of necessary and factual information, works together as opposed to working separately. facilitates the operation of a team of which she is part, promotes teamwork across departments. Statutory categories: financial management, performance criteria, and the board's rubric. Fiscal management: maintains appropriate budgetary controls, monitors activities, initiates timely and effective correcting actions, stays within budget, and makes appropriate budgetary recommendations. Statutory category: legal and compliance management. Performance category in the board's rubric: management knowledge, demonstrates knowledge of required laws, regulations, procedures, and rules related to the management of all functional areas. Supportive policy: understands, supports, promotes, and upholds both publicly and privately the policies of the organization. Work products: produces reports, correspondences, and other work products which meet the intended objective, demonstrates professional competency, quality, and thoroughness. Statutory category: effective communication. Performance criteria and the board's rubric. Communication: communicates clearly, listens effectively, keeps others informed of necessary and factual information. Deals effectively with conflict and avoids negative gossip. Initiative: identifies problems, obstacles, or opportunities and takes action to address issues. Demonstrates this initiative without being directed to do so. Statutory category: board, authorizer, and community relationships. Performance criteria in the board's rubric. Relationships: develops and maintains effective working relationships with others. Treats students, parents, community members, staff, and board members with courtesy, respect, dignity, fairness, honesty, and prevents a positive public image. Leadership: displays leadership in the organization and promotes a shared vision. Supports and promotes change management. Displays an understanding that management is paid to do a job and that sometimes working extra is what is required. There are also several additional leadership criteria as indicated in the rubric, including the following. Attitude: displays a positive attitude and shows concern for the organization as a whole rather than one's own unit. Understands and promotes the big picture rather than what's best only for one's own operation. Dependability: completes assignments in a thorough and timely manner, follows through on assignments and pulls his or her own weight, does not necessary assignments without being asked, and if asked, does them as directed. Overall evaluation: as a member of the organization's leadership team, performs at the highest level possible to promote positive impact on the organization as a whole, contributes as much as possible to the productive and positive operation of the organization's mission. The next section of questions are concerns about the future of the school. The question is, what are your plans for school leadership? 1 is improving communication with all parents in the community. 2 is conduct a search for an executive director with STEM experience and expertise. 3 is engage parents in the search for the executive director. Next question, will there be major changes in the direction and vision of the school? Discovery Charter School is not changing the mission or vision that were established at its inception. Discovery Charter School's mission is to prepare students to become excellent questioners, scientific thinkers, and responsible citizens. Students will work respectively and collaboratively, applying scientific, technological, and mathematical concepts and principles to develop a strong work ethic and critical thinking skills needed to solve problems in the real world and prepare them for future academic success. Discovery Charter School's vision is to embrace a multidisciplinary curriculum with an emphasis on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics to provide a challenging learning environment that values creativity, diversity, and multiculturalism to prepare students for lifelong learning, collaboration, critical thinking, and problem solving. The mission and vision are part of the charter of the school and will not change. Will the next school board meeting be held at its regular date, time, location? The board is approving the schedule of regular meetings for the upcoming year at this board meeting. All school board meetings will continue to be held according to the posted schedule of regular meetings. If there is a change, proper notice will continue to be provided. Question, who's going to be the director? What are the plans with the school, teachers, and the building? The board will conduct a search for a new director. All teachers were offered contracts for the coming year. The school is staying at the current facility. Question, when would I know if the school is closing? The school is not closing. The authorizer conducted an independent investigation into issues raised by some parents and found no violations of the law. The school remains in good standing with its authorizer. The school has a 5-year contract with the authorizer, and the authorizer has no plans to close the school. However, issues raised since the last meeting indicate that there are communication concerns that need to be addressed, and the board has taken and will continue to take active steps to address those concerns. The school remains committed to its STEM mission and vision. Concerns about communication. Why is the board failing to respond to inquiries? Some inquiries, for example, inquiries about the specifics of Mr. Hurley's performance evaluation, cannot be provided. Per the procedure the board has used since the beginning of the year, when the board receives questions and concerns after a board meeting, in order to have the time to provide an accurate and thorough response, the board provides responses at its next board meeting. The board understands that communication needs to improve. Designs for Learning as part of the interim director services will help facilitate more listening sessions with groups of parents to make sure that the board is getting feedback from and engaging all parents. Other is the first question in the other section is, how much are you getting paid to withstand this firestorm? Is the interim director getting paid under the table too? The answer is all board members are volunteers. No board members receive any financial benefit from serving on the board. Discovery pays for interim director services. Designs for Learning provides the interim director services for a fee. Question, nobody can figure out why a strange man is calling parents and asking if their student is returning to DCS. He calls from a blocked number, knows the child's name, and refuses to identify himself. This is upsetting to parents, and there is no one for them to turn to. The board did not share any directory information with any organization or person, nor did the board authorize or request that any organization or person contact parents. The board is investigating the issue of who may have accessed the directory information. Why have some of us received a strange phone call from a blocked number asking about our child's enrollment? Why were phone numbers given out to an unknown party who doesn't identify themselves when asked? Do you believe that this is legal? This is very concerning. The board did not share any directory information with any organization or person, nor did the board authorize or request that any organization or person contact parents. The board is investigating the issue of who may have inappropriately accessed and used the school directory information. The next question is, where does the money come from to hire an out-of-state lawyer to handle your mishandling and bungling? Is that money coming out of your pockets or mine and my child's? Virtually all school boards retain legal services in order to help ensure that schools meet all statutory requirements and can make appropriate corrections if necessary. This helps ensure that the school can continue to focus on meeting its vision and mission. Retaining legal counsel is an important responsibility of the board. The fees are paid out of the school's general operating fund. The next item on the agenda is to have a discussion and possible vote to add 2 additional board members to the board of directors. I would like to hear a motion to add a parent and teacher seat to the current Discovery Charter School Board of Directors.
I so move.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion on the motion.
I would like to see us add 2 positions to the board, but I believe that one of those should be the position of secretary.
That is an
Because
officer
we do not
position.
have, yes, we do not have a board secretary,
Correct.
and I would like to see applicants who are interested in taking on that role, so that when we enlarge our board, we're assured that we have someone who's interested in fulfilling that role, because it is a need that we have.
Right, so an officer position can be fulfilled by any current member of the board of directors. This would be adding an additional 2 seats to bring 2
I
new people
understand that,
on
but I would like it to be clear
that we need this role.
that we need someone who is willing to be the board secretary when they are, entering into that election process.
Understood. So I think that special emphasis can be made, but the motion would, we would still have to have the motion as just to add the 2 seats.
Why?
Because then the special emphasis on fulfilling that role wouldn't necessarily need to be as part of the motion.
So we can't
Well, we could
make a
any,
motion to elect a board secretary as part of that election process?
because the board secretary would be part of the officership positions on the board. In fact, that could be fulfilled right now by any board member who's not.
I
currently
understand
there.
that, but what I'm saying is there some reason that we can't put it on the ballot and in our motion right now
I guess we could,
to add that
if you
position?
would like that.
I think that would lend clarity to the process.
Okay. Do, the board will hear the lawyer?
We can't hear her.
Can you hear?
Put
can
the
you-
microphone down.
Put the microphone into the phone.
Cindy, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can I address the board for just a moment?
Yep.
I can only pick up part of the motion, and I wasn't clear exactly the nature of the motion, other than if the board is considering adding 2 positions. And we're just certainly trying, the one thing that should be clear, though, is that it's not an election. It's an appointment at this point.
Sure.
So
No,
the current,
no.
the current board would appoint the 2 new members. It would not be.
The current motion, Cindy, is to add 2 seats to the board. The methodology for filling those seats is not part of the motion presently.
Okay.
I think that needs to be part of the motion.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to add 2 board seats, 1 parent, 1 teacher, with an emphasis on fulfilling the secretary officership role of the board, to be elected as soon as elections are able to be held?
What did he say?
Okay, currently, the school is not in session. Per Minnesota state statutes, we cannot have an election when the school is not in session. Cindy, are you there? Cindy, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. So the current motion is to add 2 seats to the board, and we will hold elections for those seats as soon as elections are able to be held. With an emphasis,
Elections, okay, I just wanted to be clear, it's an appointment right now.
You can't hear him.
no,
If
Cindy,
you want to hold an election, then, that you can, but the board needs to understand that then the full board is up for election.
currently we are just adding 2 seats. They are not currently being filled. We would like to fill, the motion on the floor is to fill those seats by election when elections are able to be held. Per-
Okay.
Do I hear such a motion? Do I hear the motion? Do I hear the motion as amended?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion?
What do you think? Amen.
There's no doubt that the board is willing to add 2 more seats to the board. However, I see that the board should focus more right now in going forward in appointing a new executive director. So the other thing I would like to say is, bless you. So I would like the other thing I would like to say that adding the board, the how to we will add them appointment or election, doesn't need to be included in the motion. The motion is to add 2 board members, and again, I would like to say that the board should focus more on going forward in appointing a new executive director. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on the motion? So just a point of information, our current board election policies, as far as I recall it, requires elections to be held in January, and it specifies January within the policy. If we are going to specify elections in this, then we would that would necessitate a review of that policy.
Well, does it stipulate that it must be in January?
Correct, but we can revise that policy.
Yes.
September.
I, a couple things I'd like to respond to you, Tamara. You're talking about the director position. That is a separate
No, sure.
piece from this, so,
The other thing
we're
what I'm saying-
discussing the, excuse me,
understand.
we're discussing the motion to elect 2 additional members to our board.
Sure.
So what was your comment regarding that?
The comment, I do not want the board to be distracted with many actions done right now. We have a mission now to pass with the school through this transitory period. We have the school stable now. At that time, when we have a new, looks fine. Okay. So we will, after we have a new executive director, we will have a stable school. At that time, the board can work to have a new appointed board member.
Come back.
Okay, so I think everybody's had a chance to discuss.
Well,
We
we
did-
haven't heard from,
Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, I think we should put the motion to the vote. The current motion is to add 2 additional board member seats, 1 parent and 1 teacher, to be filled by election as soon as elections are able, with a special emphasis on fulfilling the secretary board officership role. Voting on this motion, Ahmed Adam,
Aye.
aye.
Samuel Master is aye. Norma Mejia,
Aye.
Tamara Sharaffity. The next item on the agenda is to review and if acceptable approve of a contract with Designs for Learning regarding the appointment of an interim executive director. This contract is in the board packet. Please take a moment to review.
I was, I'm a little confused looking at this, under the effective date, under
Correct.
1A. I like to see things presented accurately, and according to the meeting minutes that we approved, I think this is a little bit different from that, and it's different from my recollection being present at the June 17th meeting. In here it states pursuant to the authority granted to the chair per the school's bylaws pursuant to Minnesota statute. And pursuant to the authority delegated to the board chair by the board at its June 17th meeting. My recollection is that we discussed reaching out to Designs for Learning to search for an interim director, and that's in line with what was accepted in the minutes. I have a little trouble with the authority delegated part. I do not recall any authority being delegated at the June 17th meeting.
Understood. I interpreted the motion to delegate me to do that.
Well, I interpreted the motion to reach out to them. Perhaps the board would either look at potential candidates, find a good fit, meet to discuss it, look at options. It wasn't outlined during the meeting. So that's my concern, is that delegation piece.
Okay, well, we are ratifying the motion, or we are reviewing the contract at the present time. I interpreted that motion literally to go and find these services.
Not in our school. All by yourself.
All right. Please note that in 1B, the expiration date is to be determined by the board. As part of the motion, we will have to ensure that that date is decided upon, and that is part of the motion to ratify.
Should that be taken care of first?
Well, that would be part of the motion, so we're gonna have open discussion on what date that should be. If there's any other discussion on the contract, or if we would want more time for review.
I don't know that I feel comfortable voting on something that says to be determined.
Exactly.
No, this is to be determined by the board today.
Right, that's what I mean.
Today,
Right,
yeah.
but if we're voting to accept something and the expiration date hasn't been filled in, it seems like we're putting the cart before the horse.
Right, so we will decide on the expiration date today, and it will be as part of the motion, is my
Would that
vision.
be separate and then get that established?
If we can have it as two separate motions or one motion altogether.
Seems like it would be more sensible to do it one thing at a time. Otherwise, when you're voting on a motion, you're voting on two things. If you have a problem with one and not the other, then it makes the
Understood.
vote muddy.
Does anybody want more time to review this contract?
Yes.
table, don't worry.
2D,
Yes?
so that we have the same understanding of what the word means, adequate enrollment, ensure adequate enrollment, making sure that we're thinking the same thing, so that, what are you thinking about that?
As I see it, that states that the interim executive director will engage in recruitment efforts to ensure adequate enrollment.
But what do you mean by adequate? Because, you know, a page before, we didn't have the same understanding of a motion at a meeting, so I wanna make sure that we have the same understanding. To me, when you put adequate in something, it's vague, and I don't wanna put anyone in a position to then later be called on the carpet to say, well, you didn't ensure adequate enrollment. I don't think it's fair to someone to say to them, you're going to ensure adequate enrollment without it being in there, that's what that means.
Okay. Did you want to make a motion to change that, or was that just for a point of discussion?
I think it'd be good to hear what people are thinking.
Yeah, I think we can do it short.
Can you ensure enrollment? We can't hear.
Yes, I will say.
Thank you.
So here the concern of Mary Beth German about the adequate enrollment and what's meant by adequate. And here I was thinking, okay, we can say ensure enrollment for 2017, 2018. I'm not sure if any other board member has a comment to that.
Are you thinking like along the lines of having enough students to meet the staffing levels that we've established so far? Is that what you were thinking about when you were thinking about adequate enrollment?
I think for adequate enrollment, we haven't set a cap on enrollment.
Uh-huh.
Some schools will
Right.
say we want to stay at 300 students, we want to stay at this, we want to stay at that. So I think adequate enrollment right now is just as much enrollment as we can, because we as a board have not set anything for that, as far as I remember. I mean, I don't necessarily think
So
that
really,
it's,
oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I'm just thinking, so really, you want them, you just want to list it out that you want them to oversee and engage in recruiting efforts.
Correct, but I think that to ensure adequate enrollment is, language is fine. I don't think that getting into the weeds on the language of that particular one is going to make any major difference.
All the different ones.
It would to me.
Okay. Is there any other discussion on any areas of the contract? Would the board like any more time to review? Okay. Given that the first day of school is the 5th of September, 2017, in the terms of contract under 1B, I would like us to set the expiration date to be 5 September 2017 in the section that is to be determined by the board.
September 30,
5 September.
oh, 5th, I thought you said 5.
Oh, sorry. 5 September 2017. So, under 1B, expiration date, in the section that says to be determined by the board, I would like to set it to 5 September 2017. Do I hear such a motion? Do I hear a second?
Can I say something?
Yes.
Can I say something?
The board leader Shana?
We have staff coming back as of August 21st. Families are going to want to know if they're going to be coming to the school and they'll be wanting to see their teachers. They're also going to want to establish a relationship with the first day of school. I would request that the timeline get shut down so that the new director is in place before the 21st when the staff get back, so that they can get to know them before they, I mean, there needs to be a relationship.
Understood. Is there another date do you think that would be more adequate?
August 21st.
If we have the expiration September 5th, doesn't mean that we have to wait until September 5th. So we may have the new ED before that time. ahead of time. So we can have the ED before that time, but we do not want just to put it September 21st. So I would agree with September 5th.
What if we don't find someone by September fifth?
Then if you look under the second clauses, or until all obligations have been satisfactorily fulfilled, whichever occurs first. I would also like to draw attention to 1C, early termination. The parties agree that the board may terminate this contract at any time for any reason without liability.
Right, but that doesn't account for if we don't find someone.
In section B, that second section, or until all obligations have been satisfactorily fulfilled, whichever occurs
Whichever
first.
occurs first. So if
Right.
September occurs, September fifth comes, and a search committee hasn't found an acceptable candidate,
Right, so then I think we can extend the contract at that time as needed.
then I'm wondering then if it would be the date of a meeting in September.
Okay,
Otherwise, the first day of school, you could conceivably, worst case scenario, not have a director. Or second day of school, I guess.
Yeah, thank you for the comment. This is really important. I think by the next board meeting in August, we should be able to know whether we will have one or not.
Right,
So
well, what if
in,
we don't?
if we don't, as Sam said, we will have another motion to extend this contract. But I think by next board meeting, we should be able to know whether we will have a new ED or not. And at that time, we can plan accordingly.
or if you would, if it is maybe more appropriate to have it be the date of a board meeting in September. But we are also establishing the regular meeting dates,
Right,
so,
or the August meeting date, and then it can be extended at that time.
correct. So,
But to be by the August board meeting? Is that not specific enough?
yeah, I think that that's not specific enough, especially when we are deciding on the regular schedule of meetings today.
Right.
So I think we would want to put a hard date in there, and then we can re-examine this too as necessary. So, do I hear a motion to have it be 5th September 2017 in section 1B of this contract under the section to be determined by the board? Or would there be an amendment to this motion, or a proposed amended motion? Do I hear a second? Discussion? So I think we have had adequate discussion on this motion. So I will go ahead into voting. Ahmed Adam? Mary Pat German?
No?
Samuel Masters, aye. Norma Mejia?
Aye.
Tamara Sharafadine? The next motion would be to ratify this particular contract, or to review and if acceptable, approve. So the next motion would be to approve this contract. Do I hear such a motion? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion? All right, if there's no discussion,
A moment to think would be nice.
okay?
I would like to share that this is, something to think about because it's kind of two things going on. I understand our need for someone to take care of business. In July, there's a lot, even though students aren't at school, there's a lot that needs to happen between now and then. But I also feel like it's I don't remember what it's called when you're choosing something you don't necessarily want to choose. Because the
Is there any other discussion on the motion? Voting, Ahmed Adam,
Aye.
Mary Pat German,
No.
Samuel Master is aye. Norma Mejia, Tamara Sharafity,
Your kid's school, remember that.
The next item on the agenda is to appoint a responsible authority per the Minnesota Data Practices Act. This was previously the executive director. At this point, I would like to appoint our Director of Operations as the responsible authority for the Minnesota Data Practices Act. Okay. Understood. Okay, so I would, most likely this position could be fulfilled by the board chair.
No. No.
Or we could table this motion until the next meeting.
Things aren't going as planned.
Understood. Okay,
Play by your rules.
so let's open discussion on the to appoint a responsible authority for the Minnesota Data Practices Act. So we have to, so
What does this entail / involve, require, what are the stipulations? Other than it can't be the same person.
So typically there's a person of authority, which is usually the director. I hear also.
Can't hear, we need a microphone.
There's a person of authority, there's a person designated by that person of authority, and there's also a compliance official. Currently, I'm serving as the designee of the prior director, and I'm also listed as the compliance officer, so those two other roles need to be taken up by somebody else, if you were to make me the responsible authority.
Are these persons who are employed by the school, related to the school? How is that typically handled?
No, it's related to the school. They have to work here at the school. The compliance official would be, you could be.
okay. Okay. So I would like to then hear a motion to allow our Director of Operations to appoint a new compliance officer and to have our Director of Operations be the responsible authority. Do I hear a second? Discussion on the motion? Okay, voting on the motion. Ahmed Adam,
Aye.
Mary Pat German,
Aye.
Samuel Master is aye. Norma Mejia, Tamara Sharafity. The next item on the agenda is to designate the identified official with authority to authorize user access to MDE secure websites for the school and giving that official the responsibility of assigning job duties to the staff at Discovery Charter School. Normally during a transition period, this is given to the board chair for practices from other schools.
And communicate.
Do I hear a second to the motion?
Remember,
Discussion?
Norma, it's your kids, your school. Remember that.
Trying to understand exactly what
This is the individual who delegates Say that again?
This is the person who delegates user roles with MDE access, so it provides all of the different data options for the MDE system.
Okay, and the motion on the floor is to appoint the board chair, the identified official with authority. Do I hear a second? Any more discussion on the motion? Voting, Ahmed Adam. Mary Pat German.
Aye.
Samuel Masters, aye. Norma Mejia. Tamara Sharafity. The motion passes. The next item on the agenda is to appoint a second individual to sign checks. Shannon? Okay. I would like to, currently, who are the individuals who are able to sign checks? The board chair and the treasurer? Okay. I would like to appoint the treasurer the ability to sign checks.
Oh, no,
You say again?
no, we have to have somebody on site to do this.
On site?
Doesn't even know.
Okay. So I would like to hear a motion to appoint Mary Pat as a second signer of checks. Do I hear a second? Discussion on the motion? All right. Voting on the motion, Ahmed Adam. Mary Pat German.
Abstain.
Samuel Masters, aye. Norma Mejia. Tamara Sharafity. The next item on the agenda is to establish a calendar for the school year 2017 to 2018 of regular meeting dates for the Board of Directors. I would like to open up discussion to possible meeting dates. We should keep this consistent.
No.
Last time we agreed to have it Saturdays, and I think that's a good time to
Or you could resign.
have it on. Be like Saturday night.
No. No.
Normally,
Saturday night?
Yeah.
There you
time
go,
would-
Norma. Best decision.
what would work for you now?
For me, will be during the week.
Yep.
Monday to
Yep.
Friday. I can
Good
make it.
job.
Any day during the week, weekday, Monday to Friday, and in
not gonna
afternoon.
change her
will be
answer.
valid.
So Friday would work for you?
No.
No,
Yeah.
during the week.
Friday?
I am not available some Fridays during the year, so as long as we can do not Fridays during May through September is difficult. Well, September might be okay if it's later in the month, but May, June, July, and August, summertime, I'm not around on Fridays or Saturdays or Sundays.
Yeah, we had previously had our meetings on the last Thursday of the month. I think we should return to this particular time, given community input as well as other factors. I think that would be best to have it maybe during the week. And I think the last Thursday of the month is what we had previously. I would like to set that schedule, in my opinion.
And most recently, it was the fourth Thursday, and before
Okay.
that, it was Wednesday. I think it was the third Wednesday. The last Thursday, for instance, in August, is the open house. So that would be a problem.
Perfect time to have it.
Okay?
No, because I can't be in two places.
Yeah, that's fine.
We had that conflict last year with conferences and board meetings. so we need to avoid that.
Yeah, I think we should, I think part of the discussion now is to set a particular date within the month and then look on the school calendar in order to say, here's this conflict, here's that conflict, here's coming too close to a holiday, et cetera. Is there any other discussion on this? Does anyone have a motion to propose a framework date, such as, for example, the last Thursday of the month, the third Thursday of the month, for the schedule of the 2017-2018 regularly scheduled board meetings?
It has to be after we get the financials, right?
Needs to be after,
After the 15th?
as late as possible so that we can find it.
Because the finance committee needs to meet when they get finances and then present them to the board.
I think fourth Thursday every month should be fine.
Do I hear a motion to make the regularly scheduled board meetings the fourth Thursday of every month?
I made such a motion.
Discussion on the motion?
As long as we can be flexible, Thanksgiving is the fourth Thursday every November. And winter break is a little dicey too, but as long as we can be flexible.
Well, I think we can decide that
Spring break.
now.
Yeah, as long as we have the understanding that we can be flexible and set the dates now.
Right. Okay, so for the fourth Thursday in August, that's the open house you said, correct?
No, that's
The
the
fifth, last Thursday,
So the fourth would be the
24th of August. And the fourth Thursday of September. Is there a school conflict or a holiday conflict at all?
24th. No,
Okay. Can I have the date for that?
the 28th,
28th of September?
September 28th, October 26th.
26th of October?
November would be Thanksgiving, the 23rd.
So then maybe have it be the
That one. We could-
third Thursday of
Well,
November?
there are 5 Thursdays that month,
Okay,
so if we do the 5th, that would be the 30th
the 30th of November.
of November. It's also the end of the first trimester.
And then for December,
And that might be okay, because there are only 2 weeks in December. When school is in session.
so for December, the last Thursday, can I get the date for that?
December 28th.
Do we want to have it so close to the holiday? So,
January 2nd.
that's also close to the holiday.
Well, everybody is.
So,
Well, we're meeting November 30th, so December 21st is just 3 weeks later.
so December 21st? This last year we met on the 19th?
Right. 21st or 28th, doesn't. Do you have anything in December that we need to work on? What?
Like for the winter break, and also we have some things to take care of. So I think the last, like the fourth Thursday in November will be like the last day of the month. So I think, I don't know, it's only like 3 weeks
Oh,
in between. So
good for us.
Yep.
so my suggestion is like to move it to the next
Or not.
year, like the first meeting the next year.
Both
Too much
dates are during
accountability
winter
there?
break.
Okay,
I
so
don't know if
21st
anybody
and the
else has
19th?
a conflict.
People are gonna be out of town, it's gonna be out of town after the holiday, if they learn on before.
Well, I mean, unless there is a conflict, we can keep it on the 21st of December then, just to be consistent.
Well, consistency would be the 28th.
Well, just to be consistent that we're having a meeting every month.
Right, okay.
So then,
I
Jan-
think it's fine for me.
January, the fourth Thursday of January, there shouldn't be any conflict then, or?
Right now, it's scheduled to be conferences, but conferences can be.
Okay. And how about the third Thursday of that month? Yeah.
He has a kid at my school, right?
3 days after.
Lives in the community. I think I've seen him at the store before.
That is effective December 8th.
He won't look at my question.
Right.
He refuses to look. Leader. Trying to believe
All right. So is there any, so for January, is the fourth Thursday workable based on the school calendar?
I think at this point, if we leave it as the fourth Thursday, because tentatively conferences were scheduled for January 25th. However, coming back on the 2nd, it was a little tight this year to get the NWEA data and get all the testing completed before conferences, it was that Tuesday and Thursday. And getting all of the classes scheduled, and we get more classes next year. No, I think if we put it as a consistent date now, and then we, just knowing we might have to adjust something.
Based upon quorum and everything, so.
Right.
All right, so then the motion does stand, to keep it the fourth Thursday of every month. And we were in the discussion portion of this motion, so voting, Ahmed Adam. Mary Pat Sherman.
Aye.
Samuel Masters, aye. Norma Mejia. Tamara Sharafidin. Believe that, that Ahmed, did you make the motion? Tomer made the motion. Okay. The next item is to create a search committee for the purpose of securing the services of a permanent executive director. So my particular vision for the search committee would be that it be 2 board members, the teacher and parent member.
Not allowed.
The teacher members,
Well, it,
For the
no.
search committee.
Oh, search committee, sorry.
it's not the
Yeah.
personnel committee, the search committee. So this is the creation of a special committee this is the creation of a special search committee
Write down what you're saying.
to go through first round interviews with potential executive director candidates, to post the job description. And my vision is that the search committee would consist of the parent and teacher member of the board,
No.
along with 2 staff directors, 2 staff members,
Yep.
and 1 other parent member to be, all 3 of those non-board member positions to be appointed by the committee.
I think we need more. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the vision of that?
It's funny.
Maybe 2 more parents?
4.
So thank you very much for proposing this. However, I think that the selection and search committee, from my perspective, should consist of the board chair and the parent member as a representative of parents. And we can have our. Excuse me. We can have our interim ED in the selection committee, and maybe we can have 1 more of the staff members, maybe the lead teacher, to be within this selection and search committee. That interviews, and then we'll go
And the
through all
parent.
this process. This is my suggestion. The board need to focus technically in choosing the best candidate who can fit the position. I totally understand the parents' concerns.
We have that
However,
person, you
we
got
have
rid
a
of 'em.
parent member on the board. The committee shouldn't have less than 2 board members. and one of our interim ED and the lead teacher or any of the staff members. Maybe I may have some concern to have a board member, the teacher board in this committee, not for anything because it might be a conflict of interest, but anyway, at the end, I will say this is how the committee should be. And if we go, this is my opinion, and I even suggest and make a motion to accept this, if the board can vote for this as well.
No. No.
Dominic, can you please spell out what, so that would be the board chair, the parent member,
The parent member, Roma,
the lead teacher,
the lead teacher, and our interim.
Who's your lead teacher?
and I think you mean Andy?
Yes,
Yeah. Is there a different proposal for the search committee?
Parents. Yeah, parents.
Couple of thoughts, again, of course. I think it's important when searching for a school administrator that you have persons who are experienced in this area. And at DCS, off the top of my head, Andy would fulfill that. I hesitate to put someone on a committee without speaking with that person. Terry also has that background and expertise, and I think her objectivity might be especially helpful in this, and she, I believe she has the skill set to lead a committee like that. I think that because this is a charter school, there needs to be a large body of parent involvement for that. It goes with the philosophy of charter schools. It is a public school. I believe that we don't want more than 2 board members because then we have quorum. So do we all agree on that? Okay, so we agreed on something. Probably shouldn't give me the microphone. Okay, so we do not want to establish quorum with this committee. We know that. Okay, so if we can take care of maybe one thing at a time. If we have 1 or 2 board members, 1 or 2 teachers, I think that for each person on the board, just kind of from a number sense, for each person on the board who is not, on the committee, sorry, for each person on the search committee who is not a parent at the school, there needs to be at least 1 parent. So if you have 4 non-parents, you need 4 parents.
Right, so first off, I want to thank you both for your input. So I would not want to be part of the search committee. On my original vision is to have the parent member and the teacher member of the board be on them. And I think that we should set the number of other parent members here so that we can establish the committee so it can begin its work. And then I would also state that I would like the individual fulfilling the interim director services to be as part of the guidance for that committee. And I would also like our director of operations to be part of the guidance for that committee. So I think we just need to set the number of independent parent members that can be selected by that committee.
And staff, teachers.
And teachers. So perhaps 2 teachers,
2 additional or 2 total?
2 total who are not members of the board. So it would be Norma, our parent member, you are a teacher member. It would be the individual fulfilling the interim director services. 2 additional members of staff. I would say the committee should choose the 2 additional members of staff now.
We don't have a very big staff, I don't know,
Okay.
I don't know how they feel about it, but.
We could open up spots for them on the committee, and then individuals could raise up to be part of that committee.
How many teachers are returning? You know, sorry, put you on the spot. 10. So there are 10.
Okay.
Teachers. So we have 10 licensed staff returning.
Okay.
So I don't know, how do you guys feel about 2 versus 3 of 10?
So how we will choose them? So we will say we need this one person and this person or this teacher and this teacher. How if they say no, we do not want to be involved in this.
Well, I'm just talking about how many right now, but yes, that's
Uh,
another question. I think we would have to find
Yeah.
out, just as with finding out.
And how we will choose them? Will we vote for them for choosing them or not, or personal particularly? The same also rule applies for parents. If we will say, okay, we need some community parent members, and okay, how many? How we will choose them? So these things will go through complicated details that will actually make when we make this committee, it will take a long time. And again, we insist, I actually say that our aim now is to move forward through selecting a qualified candidate, and this will be based on having a highly qualified committee consisted of our interim AD, a teacher from the school, a lead teacher. I suggest the board chair. If you do not agree, that's fine. A parent to represent parents. We do not have any problems to have parents in the committee, but the way to have them in this committee may be very complicated. This is my concern.
Volunteers right here.
Right, so I think that the 2 board members on the committee, we would give them authority to set the individuals in those seats, and to vote, so the 2 board members who would be on the committee would then select the people for those seats, and then they can move forward, because I would like that committee to be moving forward from today.
Yes.
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 Unless the board votes for all the members, the committee that will go for certain selection, we
Can't hear you. Microphone, please.
Unless the board vote for all the committee now, I don't think that there will be a committee that will be able or have the authority to make the selection and the search
They're not selecting.
right now.
They're putting the candidate forward. They're not
Our
selecting.
school, not yours.
Yeah.
This search committee is to find somebody with reasonable director leadership qualities, STEM background. It's up to the board to vote on this person. This is a search committee. We can't take a month to find the search committee. We don't have time for the board to vote on each, but we need to be able to get this search committee, get individuals so that the board can choose. You're gonna have the final decision, but the search committee needs to find that person, and we need to find that person.
School will fail.
what if we have 10 candidates about who will
Can't hear you.
The search committee is the committee that's going to be put together to shrink that number so you have somebody to choose from. I mean, it,
And Terry's here, talking about you. I mean, she is here, so we can talk about that. I see, listening to what you're saying, Sam and Tamara, we haven't heard from you folks. I'll pass this down a moment. I'm making just a couple notes. I'm looking at 8. We've got interim director Terry, Shannon, Norma, myself, another teacher, and 3 parents would give us 8. Well, because I'm 1. Oh, well, we could do, or 9 if you want to do 2 teachers. That's what I'm just kind of made notes of.
Yeah, I think that idea is fine. I would say maybe 2 teachers, 2 parents.
No.
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 Four. I would add, make it 9 then.
All right, would you like to propose that motion?
Well, I'm curious as to what.
So let's open a discussion.
How will we arrange a meeting of all 9 together at the same time?
I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Well, I think the Director of Operations and the individual fulfilling the interim director services will be able to arrange the committee meeting.
Yes.
But we need to have this committee off the ground and running right away.
Doesn't matter. You live too far.
I think this will be very distractive. This will actually slow the acts of the committee. We may spend 3 to 4 months at least by this way to find the
Get people out
candidate.
of your circle.
So excuse me, please. Excuse me. So this is actually, I think that the committee should be up to 5 and go to this selection. This can be easy for people to this committee to make meetings together, to search the applicants and find out. This is very important. This is my. If we go for 9 members, I guarantee and I say it now, we will not be able to find a candidate before 3 to 4 months. We will delay ourselves. So I say if we really want to go forward, and to have a fast, effective process in selecting the best candidate who is suitable to.
I would remind the audience members to please respect the board meeting.
You don't respect us.
So, again,
It's funny, isn't it?
if this board is looking for a fast, efficient process to have a new ED in the office, I think the committee should not more than 5 members, and parents are represented, teachers are represented, and we have a qualified interim ED, so they can be together and select and make the search and shows these candidates to the board. This is, I think, the most important thing. If we go for 9, we are 5 board members, we are probably able to come together. So how about if we have 9?
Could you please like break it out? How many teachers? How many parents total? How many I need to know the number.
Okay, so we have 2 different proposals. Your proposal is to have the interim director services.
Yes. 1 director, Jerry. Director of operations, Shannon. The parent board member, Norma. 3 additional parents. Myself, teacher board member. 2 additional teachers.
For a total of 9. Okay, and then, Tomer, your proposal is for.
So my proposal is Terry, the board chair, the parent member in the board, 1 the lead teacher in the school, and I think this will be more than enough. These 4 members should be more enough. They will be easy. I suggest if they are these 4, this should be fine in the search committee.
All right, I think there's a compromise position, and that's maybe 7.
No.
So I would like to
1 parent for every
propose
board member, teacher.
a
Do something right.
committee of 7. That would be Terry, the individual fulfilling the interim director services, our director of operations, our parent member Norma, our teacher member
We haven't heard from Norma.
Mary Pat,
Why don't we
and
ask
then
Norma?
1 teacher, 2 parents.
that would be a total of 8. Well, we've got you as the teacher member, Norma as the parent member, the direct. Okay, no director of operations. Okay, so
Ask
Terry.
Norma.
Nicole. So Terry, Norma, myself.
Okay, so if we want 7, we've got Norma. Do we have consensus? I know we're not voting, but consensus? Anyone?
Do you want to do this?
We haven't heard from
I just want to, like, if I'm making a list. for this, because this is an alternative.
Do you want to do this?
And then myself, Terry.
Of course, I'd like to do that.
Why don't you give her the mic? Let her
Okay,
talk.
I'm losing count. Hold your fire, I'm losing count. Norma, myself, Terry, as determined named persons. And then we have a teacher to be determined. And then that would leave 3 open parent spots. So we would have essentially 3 current employees of the school, a parent board member, and 3 parents. I think every person on that list has a vested interest in this process and the outcome, and I have full faith that we can find 3 parents and 1 teacher who will make their schedules available for these committee meetings.
Okay, so would you like to propose that as the motion to, would you like to propose a motion to establish that committee?
Yes.
All right. Do we hear, there is a motion on the floor, so I'll need to hear a second. Do I hear a second? Do I discussion?
Again, I'm saying that the bigger the number, the slower the action of this committee. I really want to let the board understand. I have been involved in many search committee and selection of faculty and different people in the university and companies. If the selection committees go up to five, and even more, the selection committee may spend at least 5 or 6 months. If it goes lower, more efficient, more professional, they are able to select the best fit candidate. So this is what I'm saying. If we go, I do not have any concern involving anybody, but the problem is the bigger the number, the slower the action of this committee. So this is what I'm saying.
That's great.
I suggest, again, I put my suggestion, and I would like to make it as a motion after this motion, is to have Terry, 2 chair members, 2 board members, and the 1 lead teacher as the search committee. Thank you very much.
Go home, resign.
Okay, so, well, there is a motion on the floor, right? So if you are going to propose a motion, it would be an amendment to that motion. So are you proposing an amendment to that motion?
No. Ridiculous.
Otherwise, we are in the discussion portion of the 7-member motion. So, is there any other discussion? Okay. Let's go to voting. Ahmed Adam. Mary Pat German.
Aye.
Samuel Masters, aye. Norma Mejia. Tamara Sharafati. The motion passes. So it appears we have lost phone contact with our council. I am going to call her back quickly. Hello, Cindy. So the next item on the agenda is to ratify the legal services contract with La Verada Law Offices, LLC.
No.
This contract is in the board pack. It should be the last 3 pages. Please take a moment to review the contract. Okay, if everyone's had a moment to look over the contract, do I hear a motion to ratify the legal services contract as presented?
The illegal services or the legal services? I so move.
Do I hear a second?
I second it.
Discussion? If there is no discussion on the motion, we'll go to voting. Ahmed Adam?
Aye.
Mary Pat German?
No.
Samuel Masters, aye. Norma Mejia?
Aye.
Tamara Sharafity? The motion passes. The next item on the agenda is to hold a closed meeting pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D05, Subdivision 3B, to discuss threatened litigation by former Executive Director Dan Hurley, and to further discuss the possibility of commencing litigation against Mr. Hurley. Do I hear a motion to close the meeting pursuant to the stated? Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in discussion? Voting. Ahmed Adam?
Aye.
Mary Pat German?
Aye.
Samuel Masters, aye. Norma Mejia?
Aye.
Tamara Sharafity? At this point, the meeting is closed. If everyone could please exit and please take out all recording equipment, as the board will be discussing this, or the board will be discussing